Mind's Eye Visual Guitar Method people, thank you for clicking on this lesson. It is a part 2 of a hour and a half long lesson that I did last week. Today, let's just jump right into the point so we can do this in hopefully 20 minutes. And that means less rambling and less explaining, which if you find yourself lost and need an explanation on something, check out last week's video, the one I uploaded just before this one, which has, like I said, the hour and a half details of whatever we're talking about here today, these enclosures. So, what are we dealing with today? It's the key of C that we can see here, much like it looks on a piano keyboard. It kind of lets us know what our scale shape looks like, where the half steps are, where the whole steps are. Very important for us to know. That's our language in this setup here, which we're calling C major. So, or at least the parent key of C. So you can see that there's two enclosure types that we're going to. We do this little thing. It works over the rhythm. It sandwiches cool notes. The orange is where you start with. The gray, you're going to slide into the green. And your phrase is over. And it's dot, da, da. And it works great over rhythms that are going to like many times you'll hear 251 kind of over this kind of swinging beat or whatever the case is. So we need two basic enclosure types to start our journey on enclosures. So these are the two types. They're very easy, and you can see they're lined up here where they would come from in the scale. So for example, anytime you have a whole step, you would have this enclosure. I'm going to start like here. I'll do this one, this A to G. So I'll start on the A, fifth fret, E string. I'm going to slide into that G. I can pick it. I can slide it. Whatever kind of sound I'm going for there. Play with different rhythms. Sort of, but little differences you can do with it. But anyways, we want to know that there are 5 of these that occur. So basically any note that I choose that has a note a whole step away, so like for example F has the G over there, the A to B, so I could target the A with this shape. This enclosure type 1, I could do G, I could do F. I could not do E because I would need shape 2, enclosure type 2. So, but I could do the D and I could do the C. So if you can see all that, you've got 5 of these. Now remember that number 5 because it's important. And enclosure type 2, the half step enclosure. So that works like it's being represented here whenever you have a note that the 2 notes in the scale that are a half step apart. So there's 2 of those in the scale. So there's 2 of these enclosures that you need to. That kind of complicates things since it's not all one shape all over the fretboard. How could it be that easy, right? Then everybody would be able to do it. You've got these 2 shapes, but only these 2 shapes at the moment to kind of deal with. So which is really cool. Well, and I say at the moment, that's through this whole lesson, to get this whole practice cool thing under your belt, this is what it is. I've recorded this lesson like 15 times or more. And I don't know if on this one I've jammed yet, so let's just hear this a little bit. Get a vibe of the lesson. All right, so I probably jammed that. Anyways, already. So I'm just laughing at just how sometimes unprepared I am when I decide to record a lesson, and I think I can get through it, and there I am rambling. But this other step here, okay, so how do we get these all over the fretboard? There's 2 of those, so remember 5 and 2. So, you need, first of all, 5 and 2 equals 7. That's, now we can see we have the ability with these 2 shapes to target all 7 notes of our scale, no matter where they fall, but we have to know where we're going to plug this shape in, and if we don't, we're going to have an out of whack sounding enclosure. And it's just not going to, it's sort of, because these notes are fleeting quick, That's why if you make a mistake, you can just kind of fly on. It's not too bad, but they do lose the magic. You're going to hear this like cool kind of vibe as soon as you really can plug these in. At least I did. Cooler than just noodling around a scale. That's for sure. So how to find these all over the fretboard, not just one string. Here is the trick. Lo and behold, 5 notes. It is the pentatonic scale. No way. Holy cow, how can this be true? So let's use the pentatonic scale and find out. So what we're going to do first is call this shape right here in red, shape 1. I've always pretty much called this shape, shape 1, coming from the rock and roll world. Slow motion Eric Johnson, because that's all I can do is play it in slow motion. All right. The 5s or whatever that thing was called, I probably didn't even do it right, but there is the normal pentatonic scale that we know. Here in red, we've got this new scale, and that occurs somewhere in the series there of all the different shapes. Let's take a look at all those shapes, as a matter of fact, and mount this thing on our fretboard. So to place this thing on our fretboard, let's think about this. We are in the key of, what did we say earlier? C. We're in the key of C, and we also know that the relative minor of C is A, here up at the 6th note of the scale. C, D, E, F, G, A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, with that in our mind's eye, we go like this. Okay, A and C. We'll mount it like as if it was a minor pentatonic scale over the A and the C. So there it is right there. Here we are. Whoa. We know that shape right, and then this shape is right at. And then our classic shape is right up here over the D minor and the F major chord. And getting a little bit of I think there's some crackle and breakup on my guitar here. It's a little distorted, but okay. So that being said, what can we do with this? Well, this is what we're going to do. Every of this type of enclosure 1, this is where I would think, if I wanted to just move my enclosures all over, and eventually also, because I think you should think right there, well, that sounds cool. Now I could move this enclosure all over, but how do I know which note I'm targeting? How is that going to work over, if I don't know that I'm, enclosing the 3rd or enclosing the 4th, which I may not want, but I might want to before I release that tension. I don't know. But you want to know those kind of things, so we're going to get to that because you can do that with chord tones. So all you need to know at this moment is go, okay, cool. So if I want to move this shape enclosure type 1 all around, well, I better think about this note as my target note, because there we are on the B string at the 6th fret, and then back to the 5th fret, so it would be. But there's a bonus coming up that makes this even. I'm going to show you when we get to the half-step ones that area gets even cooler. But so I would shift right there, keep that, remember that. But as you can see here, they all go along with each other. I'm just following my pentatonic scale that I've mounted properly all over the fretboard. So, well, let's visualize all those 5 shapes. So, because I was supposed to show you this while I was jamming that. So this is all of the shapes. Each row was a different color, but I'm sure you can recognize the shapes. Like, here is this shape here. Am I playing it right now? as I play off camera for the uselessness of having a camera. I don't know, maybe I'll just, let me know. Should I just delete the camera altogether if I can't play properly? You know what I'm going to do next, too, is I'm going to get, I might even do that right now. I'm going to, hey, everybody. I'm going to sit on a stool, and that might make me too low. So let me just do that next time I, do my production when I'm doing production and do a video when I'm doing video. How about that? Oh, my gosh, sorry. So, this is the entire scale, a little bit, more blank now, so you can just see everything. And so I can find a whole step enclosure over any of these notes, which is what I just played and showed you. Let's hear it over music and see if it really holds true. C note that we wanted to resolve to. Let's move it around the fretboard. Oops. Because see, sometimes you need resolve though. Like that. Mix in some lines. Little blues. And on and on. But as you can see there, now with this method, I can sit there and kind of get all these new ideas that I had just, and hear all these kind of new things I can do that I was never able to like hear before or make sense of, and learn how to, it just gets my ear used to what I'm supposed to be hearing and what my fingers are need to do to hear that. So I'm coming up with things like, that's not in the scale, but it sure sounds damn cool over it, so I roll with it. It sounds great to get to that C note, which we're resolving to in the one chord. And I know I might do other chords. Pretty odd one there, but it was kind of like a something from the start. Substitute the 5 with a C melodic minor, but I even upped the root to put it as that in-between note before I resolved the C, coming down from that D. And so, anyways, getting a little off the lesson here with some tricks and stuff like that, but so now, how can we always know where the half-step enclosures are as we get lost in the matrix here? How could we know that? Well, let's see. There was 5 of these, and they correspond exactly with the pentatonic scale. Well, we also know that these 5 notes of the pentatonic scale only need 2 notes to get to a major scale. 5 plus 2 is 7. So there's our 7-note scale. Oh, okay, so those must be the half steps of the scale, and it makes sense that, and there's 2 of them, and so now we can see where these half steps go. If you know how to turn this pentatonic system here into the major scale, into the C major scale, you're good to go from here, but let's visualize it for those who may be wondering what this is all about. And so there we go. So now if I wanted to add in these shorter enclosures, or the type 2, we'll call them, the half-step enclosures, I'm going to put my green note there over one of the two blue squares, and those are the two choices I have. So I know that when I'm up here on the, first of all, why am I up here? Because I'm thinking about a D minor chord to start with, because our progression, remember, is 2-5-1 over our little backing track here. So it's the 2 chord, and I got a jazz grip, and I'm even going, cowboy style here and putting my thumb over the top, but you could even play it like this. That's a little too bunched up for me, but it's this one. Just bar the 7, 3, and 5 jazz grip, I call it, to the 5, or, and then the 1. So anyways, that's why I'm up here, and because we'll go over more chord tone stuff in a second. So I know that my scale works like this. I got these, basically 2 notes right here, and that completes the navigation square that I'll tell you about in a second. So here I would target this note, and that's where this came from. You see, it's kind of neat. You see when you do this, target the 7, target the 3rd of the 1 chord, if that's what we're playing over at the moment. Then I the fingers fan out for the larger shape. And it's just easy to think about because I know my scale shape is there. And then I just know that those are there. Because if you go over this a lot, it starts falling into your hands pretty easily. Now, over here, these are the easy, this is the easy area of the fretboard to grab these half-step intervals. Over here, it's a little bit trickier because, as you can see, that line of, it's the broken box row. So let's talk about that really quick. I'll just play it really quick to show you, it's doable. So even there I screwed it up. But did you hear it? See, now you can hear when you get a wrong note in there because you're expecting one of these proper enclosures. That's how you knew that there was kind of an off-kilter note there. So, and so now here's my enclosure. I think I'll walk up to it with a full size. So there's our 3 and our 7. 7 to the 1. See how it all plugs in and makes sense over the chord that we're talking about. But a lot of these, the next part will be, actually, making sure we're targeting specific chord tones. But aside from the kind of the ending on a not so resolved target note, so basically maybe not resolving into the chord. A chord tone on the last strong beat, resolving to, a lot of times what I'm finding over the major chord, definitely the 4 is going to work great before to get to the 1, but don't just go up to and then arrive at the last enclosure on that 4. It's going to sound like dud. Something fell apart. It's going to sound like the thing happened right, but you just landed on a what are we doing here note. So that's where you want to know some of these chord tone things. But the navigation squares, what we should be talking about at the moment, if I'd stop rambling. So they are found in the navigation square, these 2 missing notes. And how can we, what did I write here? Final issue. How can we target specific intervals for the specific chord movement in a chord progression? Yeah, that's what we're going to get to. But anyways, this is the... that was my launch off when I'm done talking about this. Here's you can see the rows here though. If you're new to this channel, then this might be like, what? Squares where? What do I do with that? But that's if you watch how we navigate the fretboard and take our scale diagonally anywhere, any direction. It's all about understanding where you are, where that scale is. something like that. So, anyways, yeah, that's the navigation row. You'll find that in a lot of ton of other lessons I've done about anything about navigating the fretboard. That's what we talk about. So if you're new, you just go and find those. If you dig this style of learning guitar and you think I have something to offer, check out the rest of the channel. So, how can we target now the specific intervals? Let's go. So here we have that jazz grip I was just talking about, the 1. And so I know there's my 5, there's my 3, and my 7. Might be all I have time for. And then my 1, just by default, is up here. So there's that. And then if I want the well, first of all, what interval is that? Let's go to the next sheet there. What I was going to say is that just by default, so you know your chord shapes and you know what chord tones are in your chord shape. So there's your first start. You know basically where all your full resolve enclosures are going to be located there. What are the other intervals around that? Well, but just by default, you can know, like, well, there's the 1, because obviously it's the easiest one to know because you're already playing it on the low E root for this D note here at the 10th fret of the E string. So just by default, then you know that's a 2, 5, that's a 6, that's a 4, that's a or 3, sorry, the flat 3, and then that's the flat 7 there. And so you just know this. There you go. So if I've certain, and I don't have that much time to target all these different notes, so I'm just going to make, but those are all my choices to make hundreds of different sounding lines. If I wanted to make these lines all enclosures, and I don't, especially all simple enclosures, but I think it kind of sounds cool if you're, to be honest with you, but maybe that's because I'm just, a beginner at this. And it may, and now consider what I'm saying. I think it sounds cool. And sounding cool is sounding cool, and that's cool. But is it, going to be, are some of these going to be still not so much necessarily like really pigeonholed in the genre of, where this type of stuff leads to? Jazz. No, for sure not. That's going to be so but so that's why I'm not necessarily saying, hey, this is that, and this will get you in a big doorway, when it's not doing that. It's just a cool way to start understanding, getting some ideas here, but getting a whole lot of good ideas, because this is like the basis of what it's all about. So, that would be over like my D chord, which goes by real fast, and sometimes I might not be thinking any of this at all, just, doing a little. That kind of thing, you can do little things that you learn, because there would be a whole nother lesson there that if you just wondered how did that kind of sound like the chord progression, or really kind of sound like it did flow with the chord progression, more than just some noodling, then that's a whole nother lesson. But moving on here, so there's our D chord, and we got that, right? All right. And you also know your, now it just know you, and you start to, once you noodle around with this a little bit, then you just kind of know it. And so, I know I could be all the way down here, down there. It could be anywhere. Doing a couple of these for the whole D minor. Then it's G. The middle chord comes up, the 5 chord here. But because it's all of the same scale, you sort of totally don't need to necessarily think so much about a big change. You do want to maybe have your brain understand where the new interval layout is, though. But there's also some instruction from some of the jazz greats. I think someone is known, maybe Barry Harris, that says, You don't have to worry about don't play the 2 chord, just play just think about the 5 chord and its intervals. And that kind of sort of works, and that might even be great as a one go around. And then on your second one, maybe you're catering more toward the 2 chord until you resolve to the C chord, something like that. One is focused on the D, one's focused on the G, one does a change for each of them. All kinds of options here. But this is how you start really thinking deep about what you're playing. You're not just surface level playing rock licks that you just kind of know. Yeah, sounds good, man. All right, so now right here, and of course I had to add in that flat 2 because that's a common note to add, but a little outsider lesson today. But over the 5 chord is where you can get a little bit fancy and really start doing some outside ideas. So tinker around. And especially if you're going to tinker around or even make a mistake, make it here on the 5. So, because it's the tension chord. So, of course, other weird tensions are going to be definitely more allowable for this fleeting moment of the progression. So, as you can see here now, based on this information, I know my shape here, even if I'm going to only play this or just play this. Sorry, I really messed up that melodic minor chord, C melodic minor kind of chord, because it's got that major 7 with a flat 3. Mystery, and that's the kind of weird. What sense does that make? I don't know. I'm sure it makes some kind of sense, but I'm doing it over the 5 chord, and it sounds cool. So, like, who the hell cares? It's kind of what you can do with some of this stuff, and only learn the theory if it bugs the hell out of you. So we got the 5, the 7, and the 3 there by process of elimination. That gives us, if I want to be here with my type 2 half-step enclosure, I'd be targeting the 6. Its sister right above it. Because you'll notice they work in stacks. And that's the last, you'll find that, but on the other diagonal row here, where you find what I call the broken boxes, that's where they don't stack necessarily. As a matter of fact, the only 2 that stack on top of each other are way down here at the 3rd fret of the, the 2nd fret, like of the A string. So you're targeting the B, the 7 of C. In that area, that's the only place they stack. So I got the 3rd and the 7 directly below it, but then everything is in weird angle there. Weird angle Yankovic. Sorry. That was pretty funny. All right, so with our oh god, now I was trying to think of the lyrics to eat it. If you want to get fed, just eat it. Weird Al, I'm sorry. Okay. So there's the flat 7. Alright, so anyways, but there I could even enclose that flat 2, like I'll find it. Here's a flat 2 way down here from that chord. So, for example, there is the G, E, F, G. There's the G, A is the 2. There's the flat 2. So, I could enclose that note over the G. So let's hear that. I was a little ahead of the beat there. Let's try that again. We're on the D. Here's the G. The 1, not the flat 7 there. The flat 7 can be a little tough, It wants to resolve to the 1. You have to, be on the ball. Now it's your next game, now that you've got this fretboard stuff figured out, because that's what this is all about. I want to make the fretboard part of this game easy and now in the back of your mind, because you've got this matrix dialed in. When you get the matrix, then you can have your mind open to be like, hey, I don't want to target that note. Here comes the C. I want to target here. I better get my ass there, kind of thing, if you know what I mean. All right, so like, you better move up one to that one from that 7. There's that 7 again, or that 1 again of the C. And what do we got here on sheet 12? Oh, yeah, the final. I'll leave you to map this one out for yourself. That'll be your homework here. There's the 5. And you know what? I totally screwed that up. Look at me. Getting to the last final minutes here and then having to redo my work because I wasn't paying attention. That was pretty dumb. So let's do this. And then we're going to do, oh my gosh, here. You know what? That would just bug me. I couldn't leave you guys with this mistake. So let's get the chord tones correct here while I try to recover. So yeah, that would be our 5. And our 7 and our 3. So yeah. So there's a way to grab a 7 chord pretty easy. Got the root and the bass, which you may or may not need. Alright, and so, then once you've got all this too, then you got all your other tricks like work some chordals in there, find out where they sound good, because they'll sound kind of cool in there. Work out some little riffs that sound kind of cool, some bluesy things, because they'll sound cool in there too. Here, I'll show you. There's that one of C. Alright, so I think I felt like I was a little behind there. I could have gotten to that C resolve a little quicker in the beat. It might have sounded a little, I was still wandering around on the flat 7 there. I tried to whip up my favorite thing. I got to the 5 there. We enclosed the 5, which sounded alright. But, these are it's just kind of very exercisey at the moment. So shouldn't worry about it all too much, in the way that I'd still want to include a lot of other things before I went out and said, hey, let's jam, with some other cats with this kind of stuff. I would definitely still want more practice, but I'm just glad I feel like I'm in the room. Now I've got the jazz clothes and I'm in the jazz club. Now I just got to go grab a jazz drink and learn the jazz talk. So I hope you found this really cool. And we will see you next time on the greatest YouTube channel on YouTube, right? No, it's not. It's actually probably one of the worst. Yeah, never mind. Let's just go. Have a great day, everybody. You guys rock.